Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm Rio, and on screen is a time lapse of me colouring in a sketch of a donut. I used a reference image from Dreamstime which I altered in the colouring, and I wanted to use this drawing to explain a bit of why I draw what I draw and a bit about my art journey. In the past and in school and stuff, I was class of 2000 by the way, I was never really good at art. When I was in school, teachers were always incredibly honest, and they still kind of are over here. If you're not good, they'll tell you you're not good, but in nice teacher speak. They'd say things like, Rio has good ideas but needs to put more effort into it and is too messy so those ideas won't come to fruition on paper, blah blah blah. Basically, she could probably do better if she actually worked at it and stuff, which is entirely the truth, so no hard feelings. I actually like that teachers are like that, especially with Avon, because of course I think Avon is amazing. I love them. But when their teachers tell me they are amazing, I know I'm not just being biased. I was much more interested in French and sciences in school and did really well at those, but I didn't know what I wanted for myself yet. I feel like most of my teenage and young adult years was doing what other people wanted or expected of me. I was also mentally really not very well at all. I didn't know it at the time, but I had an eating disorder and bipolar disorder. I wasn't diagnosed until my 20s, but I had the same symptoms then as I do now. And it really came into the existence around the age of 14 when I was going through family stuff. It really affected my sense of self, so I just did what other people told me to do and what my teacher said I was good at. So I didn't take art anymore and still did well and passed all my exams, but looking back I could never really answer the question of what I wanted to do. I struggled with even seeing a future, let alone what I wanted to do in it. So after school I never did art once, mostly because I was always had super busy jobs with no time for anything else until I got pregnant, and then I was busy being a single mum to a baby. That was until about 9 years ago, which is about 10 years later. I'm currently 35. I started playing Pictionary online with online people whenever Avon was sleeping and bought a Wacom graphics tablet just so I could win more games, like my friends with their tablets. And it came with art programs, so I'd play around with it, and this whole digital art thing seemed fascinating to me because it didn't exist at all really when I was younger. I was not good though at all, but I did win a lot more games of online Pictionary, so I was happy. And if you won, you got these little medals on your profile, and I really wanted to flex my Pictionary medals. I started to draw on websites where you could submit your art, and that really helped. I think one of them was Rate My Drawings. Unlike the rate my whatever of today's culture, it was all constructive criticism, and the people on that site really helped me, especially with light and shadows, and gave me tips about layering, which I actually still use to this day in my coloured pencil drawings. Using coloured pencils and layering in digital art is pretty similar and translates really well on paper. I'm really grateful to the community on that website because they really inspired me. Around 6 years ago I went through eating disorder recovery and made little comics, basically little stick figures with clothes on, nothing that required any skill or anything, to illustrate my recovery. I showed them to my treatment team and they really liked them, so I gifted them for free and they used them for a few NHS things. And then me and my comics were at conferences with me talking about eating disorders and my recovery and everything the NHS did that really helped me. It was such an amazing experience. I was very nervous, but it was amazing. I think they liked my comics more for what was written next to them though, rather than the art. I don't hate them or anything, totally sounds like I hate my comics, but I know I didn't put enough effort into them, so that's why I talk about them this way. After that, I was pretty focused on recovery and being busy doing all the eating stuff, and I think I made friendship bracelets I designed myself for a year or two. But I didn't do anything arty until October 2017. I had been looking online and saw the bullet journal thing everywhere and thought, ooh, that looks like fun. I did the same thing I always do in the beginning and didn't really put much effort into it until one day I just did and started to put effort into everything I put out and started posting it on Instagram, and the feedback I got was amazing. I was going through an actual diagnosed crisis with my mental health, and one of the crisis team nurses were looking at my coffee table full of supplies with my bullet journal in amongst all the art supply stuff like, hey, what's that? That's cool. We talked about a bunch of things during this crisis, but when you're in a crisis you get this crossroads, or well, I do. You know something in your life needs to change, or it's going to be very difficult to keep on keeping on. So it was the first time in a long while I actually asked myself what I wanted for myself. For the longest time, since my teen Avon was born, it was easy to make my life about what they needed and wanted, and my identity came from doing that. I wanted to be the best mum Avon needed me to be, despite my issues, and give Avon everything they need, not just financially, but emotionally and everything else. I worked very hard at being the mum Avon needed me to be, and if I've learned anything about parenting, it's that love isn't enough. They need a bunch of other things too, the whole package. But Avon is growing up and doesn't need me to be that 24/7 mum anymore. Well, unless they're sick or having a tired teen day. They like sometimes spending time on their own. They sometimes even like to cook for us both and be more independent. They spend a long time reading and doing extra work for school because they love doing that. I absolutely love that they are this way, and I've always encouraged it and encouraged Avon to be Avon like I mentioned in my last video. But my identity was somewhat confused at what I was supposed to do now and who I am now, and I realised I needed to work on my identity now for myself, but also now that would help Avon too. I want Avon to go off to uni and do wonderful things and not worry about me not having anything to do because I made my entire life about them. This was the turning point in my crisis, and I realised through doing this bullet journaling thing that I actually want to be good at art. It really has helped us both. If you tell your kid to do something, like eat vegetables for instance, and you don't do it, they learn from that, and if you're not doing it, why should they? And you'll get way more resistance. They're very clever and logical like that. So Avon seeing me make these positive changes to my identity encouraged them to do the same, and it's been so bonding for us. So anyways, yes, I've been working hard since then, getting better at art. The best thing about this hobby, other than all the others I picked up, is you can never really stop working at getting better at it. There is always something you can improve on, and that's one of the things I love most about art, because I get so bored if I'm not learning anything or bettering myself at something. Seriously, even when I'm playing a video game, it's not as much fun for me unless I'm learning to get better at the game. It's one of the reasons I love Borderlands 2, I think, getting all the orange and pearlescent weapons so I could be better at a game. I'm so excited for Borderlands 3, by the way. I decided to start doing some art I really loved to see a few months ago. I absolutely love realism and adding my own style to it. I like to oversaturate my drawings, making them really bright, and I add way more depth that's on the original image. One of the reasons I do that is because I have an eye issue and I cannot see 3D and depth very well. So I colour it so I can actually see it, and so that it looks 3D to me. I also see colours a bit washed out, so I make them not washed out to me at all. I think it's interesting that my art probably looks entirely different to someone with two normal eyes. Glasses do not correct my vision either, so I have no idea of what my art looks like other than what people tell me. I guess my favourite thing about seeing others' realism is, what? How is that even a drawing part of it? You know how it breaks your brain because your brain is desperately trying to figure it out, and if I get to that level with my realism, I'll be pretty stoked. Like I said, I've only been doing it for a few months, so I have a long way to go, but it's so fun to do that. I really enjoy the process, and I really enjoy the art journey itself, even if it doesn't turn out like I wanted it to. So I love it for that and have fond memories looking back on all of it, even if it's not as good as what I can do now. The actual time of this drawing was around 6 hours, which I break up over a few days, but I enjoy spending that much time on my drawings. In fact, the colouring bit is what I enjoy most because it allows me to focus and I haven't got to think about what I'm going to draw next. I can just chill out, put Netflix on or my noise cancelling headphones with some soothing music and colour. It's fun and relaxing to me. The only problem I have with realism is I do kind of have to be in the right headspace for it because it takes so long and because I have to have the ability to concentrate, but that's when I have a lot of time for drawing my characters. I also love drawing characters because my teen Avon and I don't like being in photographs. My teen, for privacy purposes, they're quite private with their image, and me because, well, I have body dysmorphia. And also, I never post pictures of myself if I'm underweight at the time. I'm a healthy weight at the moment, but I still just, no photos please, because I see the body dysmorphia distortion in the photos. I'm aware other people don't see it, but I just don't want to look at my face and the distortion all the time, hence rarely posting them. So basically, me drawing our characters is record keeping and memory keeping for the future. They work better than photographs for both of us because we look back more fondly on them than photographs. You know, like, remember when we went to TGI's because we had a rough day, that picture I drew? I've improved a lot over the last year and a bit with my characters, but I'm not yet where I want to be. I'm always working on them though, and I'm currently sketching them slightly different again right now. Art is a journey, especially for me. I wasn't naturally talented or anything, and I didn't actually think naturally talented existed, but then I had Avon and they changed my mind because they seem to be. They pick up oils or pastels even if they've never ever used them before, and they do really well and do something better than I can do with them, and I'm like, how did you even do that? But even if you have this natural talent, you still have to work really hard to get where you want to be. It's all hard work, and I guess I'm willing to put it in to get better, and I'm very aware that I'm at the beginning of that journey. It's worth it to me though to put in the hard work because it's so fun. Even when I'm struggling with my mental health and struggling to feel enjoyment, I still feel, oh, I'm so glad I drew that, instead of wasting my entire day feeling horrible. I just love drawing things that relate to our lives somehow because of memory keeping. That's one of the reasons I store my drawings in books, so we can look back at it like a photograph album, and it's way more fun this way to us to remember things than seeing the photo anyway. Also, with my mental health, I struggle at coming up with ideas sometimes for months, so drawing something from my life helps me a lot during that time, because I don't really have to think about it. That's why it influences my art the most. If I'm doing fan art of something like Mass Effect, it's because I'm playing it at the time, etc. If I'm drawing a donut, it's because I'm eating them. If I'm drawing a cake, it's someone's birthday and I'm thinking of them. In the near future, I would like to add even more style and feelings to my drawings, both realism and my characters, and I'm currently working on doing just that too. I really try not to let physical and mental health reasons get in the way of what I want to achieve, and by doing so helps me feel able to fight the worthless and hopeless crap I hear in my head. So I can say, I was really not well when I drew this, and it's pretty cool, so I can do things even when I'm not well, therefore I'm not that worthless or hopeless. Art, therefore, really helps me fight my own thoughts. Anyway, I think I've talked for long enough, and I really hope you enjoyed this video of my time lapse. All the products I've used in this drawing will be listed down in the description, and I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about my art journey and why I draw what I draw. Please like the video if you did like it, and subscribe if you're new here. I'll be doing more videos just like this soon, and some fun stuff too. Take care, lovelies.